نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. Today inshallah we will continue from verse number 74 of Surah Yaseen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون. But they have taken beside Allah false deities that perhaps they would be helped. لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. They are not able to help them. Rather they, the disbelievers themselves, are like an army brought forth for protecting them, the false deities. So there are two interpretations of this verse. First is that these idols, which people had taken as their gods, will turn against their servants on the day of judgment, and they will testify against their believers. That's the first interpretation. The second interpretation is that even though in this world people take idols as their gods in order to get help from them, the reality is that the same people end up protecting these gods against any physical harm, because these idols do not have any power to even protect themselves. So as a matter of fact, the mushrikeen are acting like armies protecting their idols. فَلَا يَحْزُنكَ قَوْلُهُمْ إِنَّا نَعْلَمُ مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. So let not their speech grieve you. Indeed, we know what they conceal and what they declare. Here is a consolation to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, not to be saddened by the falsehood and rejection of his message by disbelievers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions how He knows very well about all the false practices of disbelievers, and He will punish them accordingly on the Day of Judgment. The next few verses were revealed in response to a person who attempted to ridicule the Day of Resurrection. One narration states that it was Ubay bin Khalaf, and another narration mentions Al-As bin Wa'il. In any case, this person came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with a dry bone in his hand, and then he crumbled it into dust particles, asking Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in ridicule, "Are you claiming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will resurrect this?" Then these verses were revealed to confirm and give examples and proofs of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the ability to resurrect mankind and all other creations, just like He has shown in this world so many of His powers and unbelievable signs right in front of our eyes. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. Does man not consider that we created him from a mere sperm drop? Then at once he is a clear adversary. So khasim means kathib al-khisam, one who quarrels or argues a lot. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. And he presents for us an example and forgets his own creation. He says, "Who will give life to bones while they are disintegrated?" So the word ramim means baliyatun, worn out, disintegrated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then reminds us to recall our creation and to reflect on our own origin. Isn't it ironic that man argues about Allah's power to resurrect from disintegrated bones, yet he himself was created from something as meaningless as a sperm drop? It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who made us then grow into a full-bodied person. So why can't He bring the dead back alive from dust? قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ. Say, He will give them life who produced them the first time, and He is of all creation knowing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala points out that since He was the one who created man the first time, He can easily recreate him again. If you apply this example to our own experience, we see that designing something new is hard and takes a lot more effort, but then replicating the same thing over and over again is rather quick and easy. As it comes in Surah Rum, verse 27, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ. And it is He who begins creation, then He repeats it, and that is even easier for Him. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. It is He who made for you from the green tree fire, and then from it you ignite. This verse could be understood in two ways. The first interpretation is that it is referring to the trees of Afar and Marh, which were found in Hijaz. And these trees had the quality that even when you take the green twigs and rub against each other, they would produce fire. So that's one interpretation. And the second interpretation is rather broad, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created trees that are initially green, and then as they become dry, their wood is used to light fire. And Allah knows best. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. Is not He who created the heavens and the earth able to create the likes of them? Yes, indeed, and He is the all-knowing Creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the seven heavens and the earth, which are a clear proof of His power and capability. So isn't it obvious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then also has the ability to resurrect mankind like He created them the first time? As it comes in Surah Ghafir, verse 57, لَخَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ. The creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of mankind. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. His command is only when He intends a thing that He says to it, be, and it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to repeat any command. Everything is as simple to Him as saying be, and it happens. A question comes to mind. If everything happens immediately by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then how about many things we see in this world that occur gradually? For example, the seed that gradually grows into a plant, or the embryo that gradually develops into a child. Scholars explain that the order of kun does not always mean that everything reaches its final state immediately. That happens sometimes, but if something should exist gradually, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command makes it appear in a progressive way, and Allah knows best. We also learn from Hadith Qudsi about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power to create things by saying kun. Narrated by Abu Dharr in Tirmidhi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَطَائِي كَلَامٌ وَعَذَابِي كَلَامٌ إِنَّمَا أَمْرِي لِشَيْءٍ إِذَا أَرَدْتُهُ أَنْ أَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونُ. I give by my speech, and I punish by my speech. Whenever I will something, I only say, be, and it shall be. فَسُبْحَانَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ مَلَكُوتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. So exalted is He in whose hand is the sovereignty of everything, and to Him you will be returned. This verse uses the word malakut to describe sovereignty, but in other places the word mulk is used in a similar manner, like in Surah Mulk, verse number 1, تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ الْمُلْكُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Blessed is He in whose hand is dominion, and He is over all things competent. So is there a difference between the malakut and mulk, or do they mean the same thing? Some scholars believe that mulk refers to Allah's dominion over physical world, and malakut refers to Allah's sovereignty over the spiritual world. And the Kathir clarifies this question and mentions that the majority of the scholars consider mulk and malakut to be synonymous, that they both refer to the same thing. Again, Allah knows best. Let's review verses 74 to 83. Disbelievers protect their idols from physical harm, and they still expect help from such helpless objects to protect themselves. And man should reflect on his origin before doubting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ability in disobeying his commands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can resurrect mankind again just like he created it the first time. And Allah's power is ultimate. He says be, and it happens. We'll stop here. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم